Hey you guys, welcome and welcome back to Mom Jeans by NUTCASE. It is yours truly, the NUTCASE Case Nicole, and I am back again with the shenanigans, honey. And today we are gonna break down Amy and Johnny's relationship from Love is Blind season 6. I don't know why I'm such a fanatic from this show. Listen, I watched one other season of this show, and for whatever reason, I got hooked into this one. We're gonna talk about it. Johnny and Amy's relationship was literally like Love is Blind gold for me because they went into it and did what needed to be done. They understood the assignment, y'all. So we're going to talk about a few things that I noticed and picked up when it comes to their relationship and why I feel like it just works so well. So be sure to stick around, you guys. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and leave your comments below and let me know what you guys think. Okay, all right. So we all know Amy and Johnny are like the Love is Blind sweethearts of this season. And, I'm not sure if this happens often on this show. Y'all can let me know in the comments. Is there always like a favorite couple that everybody has? And is there always like a couple that people just know are not going to work out? Listen, I can't even remember the last season I watched, but one thing I do know is that Amy and Johnny understood the assignment. And they understood the assignment because they did not go into this experiment BSing around, okay? They didn't BS around. And I really appreciate that about them. And if you have not watched my Love is Blind season 6 analysis and how it correlates with modern day dating, be sure to check that out after you watch this video. I'm gonna say the one thing that I really loved about Amy and Johnny's connection is that even from the point of being in the pods, like they just felt so authentic and genuine. Their relationship felt like it was real. They appeared and came off as if they knew that they had both come in for the right reasons and they linked up together. And it was just like, it was just magic. And honestly, you guys, I feel like that can happen in real life. I know this is TV and I know it's reality TV, but I honestly feel that this type of bond and connection and merging of energy between two people can happen in everyday life. What I will say from the beginning is that Amy came off as someone who seemed to be very self-aware. And I mean, Johnny did too. Like they both came off as two people who knew what they wanted. They knew what they were coming into this experiment for, and they didn't mess around. And I don't even remember like them being shown really talking to other people. Now I could be wrong, but I don't remember them actually like having camera time where they talk to other people. I think maybe Johnny did, but I can't really put my finger on it. But that's the whole point. It was never a situation where either of them really had a question about each other. Like if they did, it wasn't substantial enough for them to give it screen time, okay? And I noticed that when Amy was talking about what she wanted in love, she definitely referenced the fact that looks will fade. And that's one thing that's true for everybody. Looks are gonna fade. It's what's inside that really makes a person beautiful. It's what's inside that really makes a person stand out. And I think that's something that a lot of us lack. And I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people nowadays lack the inner character to actually be considered a good person. Shots fired. Yes, I said it. A lot of people are ugly on the inside, and they think that just because they have a beautiful exterior, that there's someone who should be treated better than other people, or there's someone who should be, chosen over other people. And that's not always true. And when she said that she wants somebody to love her from the inside, from what's inside of her, and not based on the outside appearances, I really felt that. Like, that was deep, because that's what you should want. Because when you get old and you get gray, you don't want somebody who's just going to be prancing around doing whatever it is that they want to do because you've lost your looks. That's not a stable foundation to build upon. And I really feel like from the moment that Amy and Johnny stepped into those pods and they started building that relationship on a deeper level, they were in the game. Like, they knew what it was for. They knew what they were doing, and it wasn't going to be anything else but marriage with them. Now, what I did notice is that Amy definitely has deep emotions. I feel like Johnny has emotions, and I honestly feel like he's able to empathize emotions, but I also feel that at times he seems a little bit emotionally like disconnected. And I'm not saying that in a way where it would hinder the relationship or it's like some major thing, but I pick up on some like that. Like, there's not a word for it. What is the word? I don't know. But I just pick up on this detachment with Johnny a little bit, where it's like he's registering, but his head is somewhere else, like his mind. It seems like he's just in another world, child, just a little bit. But I don't think that's gonna really mess up their relationship, because it seems like they know how to handle conflict. At least from what they showed us on the show, it looks like they know how to handle conflict. Hey guys, editing me. I just wanted to add also a quick detail about Johnny that I really appreciated throughout the show is the fact that he really seemed to be financially focused and driven and intelligent when it comes to preparing for the future. I really like the fact that Johnny was cognizant and aware of his finances and not putting their future family into any unnecessary poverty or stress when it comes to the amount of money that they have or the lifestyle or quality of life that they're able to live. I wanted to make that clear because I actually filmed this video a few times. I be struggling, y'all. But I forgot to say that again in this particular clip, because he, being a person who is future focused and someone who was really taking the experiment seriously, the fact that he was so aware of their finances and really dedicated to making sure that they have a good quality of life was an extremely attractive and admirable quality that I feel like Johnny had. I also picked up with Amy that there may be some things that come up with Amy later that she hasn't talked about. And I think that that's going to happen in any relationship. One thing that's constant in life with anything is change. No matter if it's change within yourself, change within your circumstances, or change within the people and the situations around you. One thing in life that is going to remain constant, and really the only thing in life that remains constant, is change. But I will say there were two things that Amy did that kind of threw me off a little bit. The first one was the fact that she wasn't on birth control, and it's like they had all these conversations apparently in the pods, but they didn't talk about like kids. I mean, I guess they talked about kids, but for the pure fact that they were in her apartment talking about birth control, and it seemed to be this kind of like major issue that the show brought up, was like, dang, did y'all really talk about this? And why now are we bringing it up and we can't come to a solution? Okay. And I say, when it comes to Amy, because if I recall, they may have had a conversation in the pod where they talked about like children, but I can't remember, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I can't remember. And it just seemed like Johnny was kind of firm on his stance and Amy was pretty firm on her stance. And I understand both sides of it, because listen, whenever you're doing anything medically to your body, it can be traumatic and you never know what the end result is really going to be. So for both of them, I can understand, but it just seemed like because of Amy's emotional state, because of her feelings, which is not a bad thing at all. It's not bad to have feelings, but it seems that with her emotions, there may be things that come up to the surface later that haven't really been touched or discussed at this particular moment in their relationship. That's kind of the vibe that I got from Amy. I felt that she did that on two occasions, not just with the birth control, but also when it came to them going on the horseback ride. And she said that if she didn't get her father's blessing, she doesn't know if they could get married. And I'm like, girl, you just bringing this up now? Like, this the first time we talking about this? And I was like, okay, I can see that later on down the line, Johnny needs to prepare himself because it's going to be some things that come up, or maybe even emotions that come up in the future that aren't really like aligned with her presentation initially. But, I say all that with a grain of salt because it really just feels like from day one, they just understood the assignment. They just knew what to do. And I think a lot of factors go into that. The fact that Amy and Johnny both come from pretty stable looking families. It doesn't seem like Amy and Johnny's parents are dysfunctional. Like, there may be things, which there are going to be things in any marriage that come up that you have to deal with. And that's why I said whatever emotional disconnection or absent-mindedness that Johnny may have, or whatever emotional depth or uncovered emotional concepts that Amy might have, I feel like they're going to be able to deal with it because no marriage is going to be perfect. But they both seem to have parents that are stable within their relationships and parents who understand and value the union of marriage and the entire dynamic of family because their families are really similar. So it only makes sense that they would fit together like that. And I think that's why they're so successful. Honestly, that's why I feel like a lot of couples fail. That's why I feel like my marriage failed, was because I didn't have a good example of what marriage looked like. I didn't have a good example of what a real raw relationship looked like. Like, I didn't have that example. And then my ex-husband, he didn't really have an example of a truly like healthy marriage, in my opinion. Now, this is just my opinion, but I saw his parents' marriage and they have since separated since we separated. Actually, before we separated. So, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't have a great example. I didn't have a great example. And I think that plays a really big role in whether or not a relationship will be successful and whether or not it won't. And the fact that Amy's dad was really adamant about her being sure of her choice and her having that masculine father in her life to support her decisions and to be there to let her know, like, look, if you change your mind, we're with you.
Times and the bad times, we are here for you, but not only for you, but for him too. For Johnny too. And we want to all together, we all gonna make you be successful. I love you. And the same way that I want him to love you. I got my reserve of the experiment, but I changed my mind after I see you happy. And I see Johnny happy. I saw his eyes looking at you. Last night I couldn't sleep. So are you ready to rumble?
Her mom was there too, yes. But for her to have that example, I feel really changed the outcome of this situation for the better. And I'm just keeping it real. Daughters need fathers in their life because without fathers in our lives, we don't understand what a man is supposed to be. And sometimes having just any father in your life still doesn't make a difference because sometimes the father that you do have in your life or the male role model that you do have is trashy or in a certain headspace where they're not actually setting a good example. But with her situation, Amy has a good fatherly role model from what I can see. He's able to tap into his emotions. He feels things, but he's also able to be a good leader and provider. And I can tell that from the way that he talks to his daughter. People might be like, oh, how can you tell? How can you tell that he's this person? No, Amy's father, I can tell from the way he talks to her that he is a good provider and he is a good supporter and he is someone who has laid the proper foundation for his daughter to be successful in relationships. And you can tell. And when it comes to Johnny's parents, they really seem like a hippie like couple. They seem like they got the hippie vibe going on and they're just like free and free love and just be love and everything. And it seems like he had a good role model as well, because the way his father explained marriage and the experience of marriage, it gave me the idea that he might not have been a perfect guy, but that he wasn't a coward and he didn't back down and he didn't, shy away from the challenge. It was so funny when Amy and Johnny first saw each other, like coming out of the pods, because I think sometimes you don't anticipate what your heart sees and how it's going to look in real life. When you manifest something, your heart may create a picture in your mind of what that is, but then when you see it, you don't really recognize it. And I think that's why some of us struggle with concepts like manifestation and law of attraction, is because our heart feels what we want and we know it on a certain level, on a deeply encrypted level. But then when it comes to our face, it may not necessarily look the way that we anticipated it to look in our mind's eye. And I think that's the beauty and the challenge of this show, is that no matter what you may have imagined or no matter what you may have anticipated, there is a big blessing. There's a huge blessing on the other side if you're able to allow your heart and your soul to lead you to something that's bigger than yourself. And I know that might sound corny, but honestly, it's not. And I think we all have to come to a point where we realize that life can be beautiful and we can have what we want, but we may just have to pivot our minds and tweak a little bit of the expectations that we have of what it's going to look like. And I think that would bring a lot of satisfaction to our lives. But I just wanted to touch on this couple. I feel like Amy and Johnny are the most beautiful couple. I see so much of myself in Amy. I see so much of myself in Johnny, like just as an individual, as a human being. And I want them to be so successful in their marriage. I want their marriage to last. I want them to be happy for so many years to come, because watching them bond and come together on this show really allowed me to see hope in the future for myself. And that's one thing about this channel, you guys. I'm not going to be a person who's always going to assume that I'm right. I don't know everything all the time. And sometimes I'm right, but sometimes I'm not. And I really pride myself on seeing the reality of situations, but also being optimistic and positive enough that I can see something even more beautiful than what's right in front of me. And for me to watch Amy and Johnny throughout this process, and for them to go through this process and actually finish strong and, be married, get married, I'm just happy for them. My heart is just so full for them. And if you're a person who's watching this and you feel the same way, we here, boo. Because especially if you haven't gotten that forever person in your life yet, I feel like, listen, it's hope for all of us. Because if some people are out here getting together with less, mental fortitude and foresight than Amy and Johnny, then I'm sure we can find something healthy for us as well. Okay, so y'all be sure to like the video, be sure to subscribe, get in the comments, you guys. Let me know what you thought about Amy and Johnny's relationship. Let me know what things popped out to you about their connection, how you felt about it. And also be sure to check out any of my other content on the channel, because I got plenty of stuff for you guys. And I hope to see you next time.